Sure, there might be pain. Sure, there might be suffering. And at the same time, we're looking and seeking understanding, and we're we're wanting to actually just be, right? Like we're trying to be who we are and at our core, like who are we authentically? All right, let's see what it is that I could teach other people and what tools and trainings can I present in front of them so that they can reflect for themselves in their own
So,
journey.
Denisha, tell us when you understood that pain, the root cause of this pain, this suffering was needed to be found. What did you do?
Hospitals, and
How?
I could pick up on other people. You're hearing them, you're sensing them. Um, and it's just like, why? Like, realizing until much later as an adult, and then really learning about the spiritual space and the empath space and intuition and all of that. I was like, oh, I was actually sensing, like, I was actually feeling other
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
It was like mind boggling, like you're coming in for one thing, but then you're coming back to the hospital for a similar thing. Yet you're following recommendations and treatments and whatnot in between. And so then it was like, what's behind this? Like, like, why does it seem like it's repeating,
And
And
yeah.
I know that there is a difference between pain and suffering. And so like, there is that element too that I end up working with people on. Yeah, we can use herbs, we can use food, we can use meditation, we can use breath work, we can use supplements, we can use labs, we can use all of these different things. They all work. I'm one of those practitioners that is like, I'm not going to introduce something unless it seems like it's applicable to you at this time. And then now we have increased awareness, and therefore we have more increased conscious choice.
Normal people understand things like burnout, boundaries, being fake in relationships, or it's just a tag of saying, "Oh, I wanted to keep him happy, so I just lied to him." Welcome, all you mavericks out there. The word maverick means the free spirit, and today on show we have a maverick, the person who battled out of suffering, the person who found out that suffering, pain always has a root cause. Today we have with us at the Dive-In, the Maverick Me podcast, Dinesia. Dinesia, the doctor of Oriental Medicine, the person who realized that being an empath was a strong place, but there was an energy channel that needed to work. And she's created a playground. She has a toolkit. She's helping people and she's always smiling. Welcome, Dinesia. Tell us something about yourself. In fact, everything today.
I don't think we have enough time for everything. I've been quite a lot of years on this plane.
Definitely,
Hi.
definitely. Hi.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I mean, you kind of summed it up. It's this whole background of studying and practicing as a doctor of Eastern medicine and a holistic well-being consultant, where as I was working with people, I really started seeing some themes popping out that changed the way that we could look at what's coming up in the body. And so that those symptoms were actually signals, and they were signaling like, how is it that we're really relating with other people, and not just with other people, but even with ourselves. And so what does that really mean? What's behind those signals that were popping up? Sure, there might be pain. Sure, there might be suffering. And at the same time, we're looking and seeking understanding, and we're wanting to actually just be, right? Like we're trying to be who we are and at our core, like who are we authentically? And so those are the patterns that I started seeing, was like there was related around boundaries of burnout and then being authentic. And so yeah, like I just kind of came into it and was like, all right, let's see what it is that I could teach other people and what tools and trainings can I present in front of them so that they can reflect for themselves in their own journey, really celebrating who they are and being that, and know that they have a place at the playground that they could be that and just meet other people and get some feel loved, feel loved for just being you.
Yeah. So, playground, yes, right. So that's the place where she'll be launching soon. And I don't want to tell you what it is. It's going to be, I don't want to open all the suspense right now. We'll putting in links in the video. Everybody should go and experience it themselves, because if I tell you what it is, you will go with my perception. So, carrying the conversation forward to, because playground is the final outcome of everything. And
Mhm.
the journey, what we're going to talk about, is way more important. So, Denisha, tell us, when you understood that pain, the root cause of this pain, this suffering was needed to be found. What did you do? How did you create the journey or the road? What was the road on which you traveled to become, from a person who would see pain, see suffering, and then translated all that into an effort and to become what you are today and helping people that?
Yeah. I want to say it was really out of curiosity. And I mean, emotion definitely struck first. Emotions typically are the things that are going to strike faster, you know? And so, like, just growing up and seeing what it was that my sister was experiencing, and then I just felt like, why is there so much pain, right? Like, or if you're in the hospitals and I could pick up on other people, you're hearing them, you're sensing them, and it's just like, why? Like, so I would emote first, typically. So I'm tearing up or feeling all of these tingles all around my body because I'm not realizing until much later as an adult, and then really learning about the spiritual space and the empath space and intuition and all of that. I was like, oh, I was actually sensing, like I was actually feeling other
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
And so all I had though was the logic. And so then that's when whenever I could get calmer, and I turned that into literally curiosity, asking questions, trying to see, like, well, if, because it was like mind boggling, like you're coming in for one thing, but then you're coming back to the hospital for a similar thing. Yet you're following recommendations and treatments and whatnot in between. And so then it was like, what's behind this? Like, like, why does it seem like it's repeating,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
so, I've had that. And so at that time, I mean, I'm younger, right? So all I know is, well, all I think I know is that the only way to really support people is to become a doctor. And so then, oh, if I become a doctor, then I can treat, kind of thing. And then the world unfolded for me. And I thought that was the only way, was through like the Western medicine route. And then it was a sorority sister that introduced Eastern medicine to me. And of course, you have a choice as to which direction you're going to go. And I chose the Eastern medicine route because I just loved the philosophy and the way that you see people. Like, and notice I didn't just say patient, right? Like, it's people. Like, and I think that's the thing, is that sometimes, like, we put the names patient and client, like, and it creates a barrier, which I can understand can be helpful in a sense of a permeable boundary, right? Like, between you and someone else. And at the same time, though, there are people. Like, we're working with people that are literally going through whatever painful experience it is. And I know that there is a difference between pain and suffering. And so, like, there is that element too that I end up working with people on. But yeah, like, it's how you see people, and you see them as a whole being. And it was like, oh, that's fascinating, and then to be able to see that, well, it's what's going on in their life and how they're responding to it, that's behind how the symptoms, aka signals, would show up. And so then it turned into like, oh, so we really need to get into it about like how connected they or disconnected they are. And that's like a connection that's internal, like within the self, but then also the connection of the self to the collective, because that's that internal relationship and the external relationship. And it was just fascinating to me. And it's like, yeah, we can use herbs, we can use food, we can use meditation, we can use breath work, we can use supplements, we can use labs, we can use all of these different things. They all work. The thing is, though, is that it's to see them as a tool. And I like to look at them as glasses. Like they're just different styled glasses because it's like, oh, I need some information, then great. Like I'll put on these herbs and then the herbs are saying this, and it's like, okay, now I'm done with those and I take them off and then I go and I'm like, all right, let me put on this.
Oh,
And so
oh,
that's how I see them. So that way it's like in a way, it's supportive to people when they see that it's a tool. You want me to tell you why? I'll tell you why. Because because I've seen it and I've done it. I had my with my own personal experience too, with breast tumor and when I was a teenager. And it's like you can become so reliant on an outside source and something else that's gonna almost dictate, right, your life. The thing is, though, is that we can give that power to that external. So we are
lovely.
choosing that, right? And so, like, when I when I realized that, and this is why I'm one of those practitioners that is like, I'm not going to introduce something unless it seems like it's applicable to you at this time. It's not
Yeah,
necessarily a protocol in the sense that everybody, and I'm also listening. So like I'm intuiting like, okay, what's the appropriate tool for them for right now? And I noticed that like people could sit there and they base their life on like a lab work, right? Or and then it's they could be feeling so well and so great. Their outlook on life is amazing and everything. And then a number could be off and then it sends them over the cliff. And to now like to marry that with with the studies and stuff that have come out, about the nocebo effect and the placebo effect, it's like you can really see the effects of what it is that you think and what you believe, and then how the cells in our bodies will morph basically to match it. And so so that's my approach when I do use those is I gauge and see like how empowered are they within themselves. And then okay, here's this information. Let's see how we can connect the dots and let them see this is information. It's information that we're looking at through those glasses, like, and it doesn't necessarily dictate anything, right? Like, it's just letting you know for right now, this is what's going on. And then now we have increased awareness, and therefore we have more increased conscious choice. And so now we can, like, take those steps and stuff like that. So, like, yeah, it's a lot that's played a role into what how it's shown up for me, and really just trying to see like how what's behind what comes up as these signals, and how ready am I really to address those things that are behind the signals. And
lovely.
you know so it's
That's completely a different thought process altogether. Altogether, Tanisha. I'm talking to so many people, so many healers, empaths. What pulled me into having this conversation was your approach, the playful approach, the simple approach to the complex situations. Like we discussed the point of, boundaries, empaths, and you made a very simple statement yesterday when we were talking in the icebreaker session. You said that the relationships and the patterns of relationships, how you handle them, and your genuineness is how actually defines how you would do in any relationship. The boundaries, the burnout, the patterns. Do you think normal people look at these things, or you definitely, as somebody who's looking at them, and you people come to you, that is when they start understanding it? Do you think normal people understand things like burnout, boundaries, being fake in relationships, or it's just a tag of saying, oh, I wanted to keep him happy, so I just, lied to him, or I wanted to be, I never wanted him to go to a bad thing, so I thought, it doesn't matter, he should not know about it, telling him he'll get very upset, or she's going through a phase, I think I should hide it from these things. Do you think putting things under the carpet can is another huge reason why people are living this the dual life things are the reason that people are losing it somewhere?
mm, it's a really great question. I think it does play a role because when we're if we were to really look at like, okay, we're all this soul and this spirit that's in this vessel, like in this human vessel. And it's like the desire of the spirit is very strong, right? But it can be quiet. And so then it's like it desires to be and express in every aspect of our being. And but we do have the ego and the that power to try to override it. We think we're overriding it, but it still shows up because it shows up in the signals within the body, right? And so I feel like when people do those express those certain types of behaviors, and mind you, I'm also thinking about myself too, right? Like it's when we make those statements of I am doing XYZ or I did XYZ, whatever comes after because or whatever comes after so that, whatever comes after that is actually the reflection. That is the mirror. Like, so we can use whatever we choose as our because or whatever we choose as our so that in a way. I think we say it like that to find comfort and to have a reason for our behavior instead of having just the confidence and the courage to say, this is just what I want and what I desire, period. And so I think that when we're trying to justify it and we're trying to validate it, and we could exhibit some type of behavior and literally we're trying to validate it, or we're wanting other people to validate something, we're wanting them to accept something. And so like we're just going and we're doing these behaviors, and some of them are conscious, some of them are unconscious, because it might have been something, it might have been a response from something when we were younger, right? And that's just our response. And so like, but I think that once it becomes in our awareness, there is this sense of, it's a sense of responsibility. And so I said it slowly, intentionally, because I see it as response and then dash ability. So it's one's ability to respond when that awareness of behavior has now come to their forethought. And some people may not trust that ability to respond. Some people may not even want to. Like, cause I mean, it'll put, it's like, it'll put some reality, some truth to in front of you. Right. And, some may not like that. They may not want to experience it. And so therefore we'll use whatever comes after that because, and whatever comes after that so that as our cover.
Yeah.
And because if you think about it, like in when we're talking with other people and in relationship with other people, what happens? Like if you were to say like, oh, I did this because of blah blah blah, then what happens is those other people now, they have formulated some type of opinion, some type of judgment. And they're like, oh, that's so great of you. Like, oh, that's so beautiful. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, so in a way, we'll explain it because we're literally seeking some type of praise or acknowledgement, acceptance, validation, like some kudos, like whatever, right? And sometimes we can get trapped in that. And then the trapping is because when that true really way of being for you wants to come out, you have to reconcile with, oh, if that true side really comes out, will I still get the validation? Will I still be accepted? Will they still love me? So you're questioning that. And then that's how I think people can set themselves up for, okay, I'm going to allow this part to come out over here with these people. And then this part will come out because this is what they like. This is what they praise me on. And so they'll just only, show those certain parts. They don't like this, so I'm not going to do that part. Right. And so like you start to compartmentalize just based on that. And, I think that's how, and so when I think about health, So when I think about health and I think about healing, I go by the root meaning, which is to come to wholeness. But what we just described is what people would do is actually disconnecting, and it's not wholeness because it's more spread out. And so, but if you, once we can get into that place of like, there is always going to be someone for you, always, always, always. And I rarely use superlatives, by the way, but because I feel like this is something that is really truth is that, and there is a difference between true and truth for me. But like truth being universal, it applies to all, right? And the truth is, and the more that we are in our soul's expression and in our being, there is a fractal. There is at least one other being that still loves and accepts that you belong, right? And I think we can get blurred in what's around us as being only like that's it's only these people that's around us, but and then they don't like this, but they like that. And then that is how we can limit what could be possible for us. But then as we do express that soul, that core, like you'll start to see those relationships change. They may not be as present, right? And at the same time, who would just know it and just be there with you is like they're going to show up because
Yeah.
they know that light. They see that light and it's because it's within them as well. Like they know it and they're like, I know you. I gotta like, yeah, we're here. And I induce the playful aspect because I do believe that serious healing ain't got to be so serious. I do believe that if we can add some element of fun to it and levity to it, then it helps a little bit. Like people can kind of relax some
It's
and
simple. It's easy. It's
yeah,
comforting. It's easy. It's all of us. I think it's kiddish. It's innocent.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, getting spirituality and health converge to that space in which you brought it together, creating patterns of healing, toolkits of healing, of understanding things, self understanding toolkits. So, how do you, as a doctor of Oriental medicine, as an intuitive, as a mystic, or as a empath, how did you bring or come to the point that there is a strong convergence between spirituality and health? There is definitely, it's a universal truth. If your mental health is okay, your body is going to be fine. If you're spiritually inside well connected, you're a light person, you connected with the divine, you'll be okay. But how did it come into your realization, and how did you think that there needs to be a convergence and then a pathway where signals from the body, these signals from the body need this treatment?
Mm.
This signal in the body creates this spiritual aspect, shows this spiritual aspect of the system of disconnectivity, and it needs a certain output or an expression, or it needs this kind of a healing or this kind of a treatment. How did you come to that point?
So it started out literally by book, and in the sense of I was studying. I was in school studying Eastern medicine, and the way that the elements were presented, there were certain aspects of them that it was like, sure, there's a physical part, but I naturally gravitated towards the mental, emotional, and the spiritual part. And it was one of my teachers actually specially assigned me a whole other book for class. And well, at first I was like, dang, why I got another assignment? Like I'm the only one. But at the same time, at the same time speaking with her, she let me know like she's an intuitive herself. And so she is like, I see something and I just know that this is what's gonna help. Like and so I was like, all right, I trusted her. I felt good. And then with that book was when I was really like, oh, okay, interesting. And it, the symbolism, and it was like it just kind of took like I thought, or at least for me, it was so much more easier when I had to, like, when looking at it super rational, I can do it, right? Like I can do that, it's fine. And it's just that the mental, emotional, and the spiritual aspects just came with so much more ease for me and understanding. But then also it let me know, I think the part of the ease was because that's what I saw and what I was feeling in other people first. So I could sense if there was some sadness. I could sense if there was loss. I could sense if there was some anxiety. I could sense those things. I could sense those first. And then in the rational side of completing paperwork and taking the pulse, looking at the tongue, it like, to me, it painted a picture of, oh, that's how that's showing up. And so in the physical body, that's how that's showing up. If it was constipation, if it was headaches, if it was a certain sleep pattern. And so it's like, oh, so you could see that in the beginning, it's like, just as my life in general, I can sense emotion. I can sense that type of stuff. It was in school when I started seeing the physical expression that would show up when those were also present. And so like it to me allowed me to be able to connect the dots in the sense of like somebody could express, can say that they're anxious and that they experience anxiety, right? A lot of people can say that. And then what happens though is that I feel like through this lens, and it's since expanded beyond just Eastern medicine, but like through that lens, it allows me to see what is it that's actually influencing and causing this anxiety. What elements, what aspects of it, right? Is it more related to this creative aspect, this nourishment? Is it more related to a sense of self? Is it more related to this delineation between you and other people? Is that what's driving and motivating and encouraging the anxiety? It allows me to see, like, based on how it shows up in the body, it allows me to see how they're responding to whatever it is. So anxiety itself can be so generic and very general, right? But then the more that I feel like we can get into what's driving behind it, then that from there, then I can ask, well then what would apply that we could apply right now to support them in whatever this experience is. And then byproduct is the anxiety dissipates. So you see, it's not treating the anxiety. It's actually addressing what is influencing it, but we're using how it shows up in the body to give us the nuances, to give us the different ways to see them and to see how they're responding. And then we can address, it's like, okay, well then if that's the case, then this is the tool that would apply. And at times, I mean, at times it's just as clear. It's okay, let's use this herb formula. This type of food is sticking out to me, like kind of thing. Or sometimes it literally is a type of tree, or it's some type of breathing exercise, some type of pranayama that's coming to me. And it's like I see them as images, or I hear words, and it's like, oh, okay, that applies. And I just relay it, and then listen to the patient client, and they'll tell me like, oh, like it just clicks and it resonates, right? And so like I think I try to paint that picture of the flow of it as best as I can because like I know it's complex, but like,
Yeah.
but I'll say that that's how it started was like the beginning of connecting the physical to the mental, emotional, and spiritual was when I was in school, and then since then has just kind of really studied more and then honed in more or um, like studied other people's perspectives and then I continue to layer and I continue to put them together to really just see the symbolism that's behind all of it and then how that symbolism shows up in our everyday lives, which is in the form of our relationships with the self and with other people.
So that was beautifully explained. See, because most of this is in your system. You've been running it back and forth, and the flow is to what I understood of your journey as we speak and as we spoke earlier was pain led to finding solutions.
Mm.
You wanted to know the real cause of the pain. And as I understand from this conversation, you believe in addressing the root. You don't addressing the branches. To cure the branches, you realized you've got to take care of the roots. And that's where it all came. And you believed that the behaviors and the patterns and the liars and the fake personalities were the branches which you could treat them with some toolkits, but at the end of the day, if the root is treated, the behavior patterns will on its own go because they are just reacting to what is triggering inside. So, when we look at the entire flow of how your journey has led to this point of convergence of spirituality and medicine together, that is where playground comes out, and that is what is the whole theme of this experience, this life, from an 8-year-old girl who goes to the hospital and feels that that she feels everybody there, she feels everybody's sorrow, the grief, and to a person today who still feels the grief but now today is standing with a sword, is standing with a solution and saying we can figure out this. How does this
Yeah.
feeling, what is this, how does this make you feel as a human being, as a person, as an opportunity, and the way you've handled this vessel and made yourself as an opportunity for other people.
Yeah.
You must have done it for yourself. You already must have done it for yourself. How did
Yeah.
you do it for the others?
Well, I still do it too with myself because we're all evolutionary. And so we're going through phases all the time. So I'm still doing it with myself, still studying, still experimenting, and all of that. I did want to address this real quick too, that with the tree, because you mentioned like the branches and whatnot. And so it's like, to me, I listen to the leaves, I
Wow.
watch the leaves, I listen to
Mhm.
the branches, right? They, because I see perfection, I see wholeness. I can't deny what the leaf and what the branch is telling us and what the stem is telling us and what the root is telling us. I must listen to them, right? And we can actually address the whole thing. We can address the leaf. Sometimes it is pruning, right? Some
Yeah.
when we're watering, sometimes it's watering the leaf versus watering on the ground. So like
Yeah.
it's I did want to say that because I know that that's like a big like a lot of people use that imagery and I see it differently than what how most people might explain it and share it. So I just wanted to say that so that people can understand like because to me if I ignore that, I'm denying an aspect of the tree, which means I'm denying an aspect of you, which means you're denying an aspect of you, which is denying your wholeness and your perfection.
Wow.
And so I wanted to just point that out. And then for myself, like how I feel about this, I will say that there are times where I do want to shut it off because I feel the it can be quite heavy. I try my best to engage in my own practices of permeability in the sense of my own filters and my own boundaries. And also just trying to reiterate with other people like there's a certain stage that people would be at that would mean that they're ready and I'm ready for them. And it's like if it's like such a strong acute pain that you have to like deal with right then and there, then this is not the space if for you because my because I see it as my role is to get to that root, the roots influences, the spiritual aspects of it, the symbolism of it, and sometimes that takes time. And so while at the same time, simultaneously, I am looking for solutions and things that would offer some comfort, that would offer some relief. But if it is something that's really, really urgent and you feel like it's urgent, you got to deal with it, then there's someone else that would be there for you in that phase. And then when ready for this type of perspective and engagement with you and in your body, then that's where I fall in, right? And I have had to I had to learn that part and through
Lovely.
experience and to honor that. But it feels really good when I know that these are the people that are here. There's no agenda in the sense of we're really here to be in the mystery and in the understanding while developing our love and compassion for our own wholeness and just navigating that and what and how do I do that? What does that look like? But to use what's coming up in the body as our guidance and for our insight. And it's peaceful. It feels really
Lovely.
good.
Lovely. So, one message, one last message for the empaths, for the healers, for the seekers, and for those people who feel, the intuitives. One last message for those empaths, the healers, and the intuitives.
I would say just realize and own and honor that you are a whole being. You're whole and complete and you're perfect.
Perfect. Also, would you want to share handles and the
Yeah.
the handles of the playground so that people can come it out and experience and get into the pre-sales booking of everything because it sounds so exciting. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm really stoked about it. So, as you mentioned, yeah, it's in pre-sale because planning on opening that up with our first play camp in the middle of April. So, I think it's like the 21st or something like that. So, if you jump in now, then there's some special bonuses that are just for you, and it's all at theperfectplayground.com. And if you're on Threads or Instagram, then it's the perfect playground. So it's at It's the Perfect Playground is the handle. So come on and let's play.
Hey, that's lovely. That's lovely. So, everybody out there, definitely this playground needs a visit. Do visit the playground. Denesia, this was lovely talking to you. I hope the weather in Florida is keeping the sun shining at you.
Right now it is,
And
yes.
it is today. In fact, in Calgary, the sun's shining beautifully, surprisingly at
Yes.
-4. Yes, but it's still shining.
Oh dear. Okay. That's great.
It's still shining. So thank you so much for you. God bless you.
Thank
Keep
you.
healing, keep seeking. And if like everybody's journey, your journey is so special. And the way you contribute to the life of others, the selfless life that you're living, and you're an exemplary, could be, people would, in times to come, they would understand how spirituality is so simple.
Yes.
And this goes out with a smile just as beautiful as you. Thank you so much, Tunisia. And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.